WSL networking can feel like magic, but it's not. Localhost works one way, the WSL IP works another way, so give me 10 minutes and I'll explain how WSL networking works so you can easily understand it. With that being said, let's go engineer some stuff. So to understand how networking in WSL works, we first need to understand what WSL actually is. See, the distros run on WSL are actually just virtual machines, but not quite like the ones you'd run on something like VirtualBox or VMware. See, those run on top of your operating system in a stack like this, where WSL2 is a bit different and runs on a stack similar to this. That's because it runs on something called the Windows Virtual Machine Platform, which lets it operate much closer to the hardware and to Windows itself. The benefits of this are that it's faster, more lightweight, and much more tightly integrated into Windows itself, which is why it feels like it's built right into Windows, but networking is where it reminds you it's still a virtual machine. By default, WSL runs in NAT mode, aka Network Address Translation. But when you use localhost versus the WSL IP, two very different network paths are taken. To demonstrate this, I've got a simple Flask API running on port 5000 inside WSL, and we'll use this to test both of these paths. So the first path is localhost with loopback in no NAT. When we use localhost, Windows forwards the request directly into WSL, and inside Linux, it's still addressed to 127.0.0.1, aka the localhost, so it gets routed over the loopback interface. And the second path is WSL IP, and this is with NAT. With the WSL IP, the traffic goes over the virtual network, crosses the NAT boundary, and lands on ETH0. So it's the same Flask API with the same results, but two very different network paths to get there. Now let's actually see these paths in action with a demo, starting with localhost to localhost. On the left, I'll be making calls to our Flask API, and on the right, we can use TCP dump to watch the traffic appear inside WSL in real time. Now when we do our first GET request, we see a full sequence of packets hitting WSL over the loopback interface. And if I send a POST to increment the counter, and then another GET, we can see that with each API call, new packets are immediately flowing into WSL and reaching our Flask service. Now, let's break down what we're actually seeing with these requests. On the Windows side, we can see connections on localhost and 3 separate TCP connections, one for each request to our API. Each of these requests uses a client-side port automatically chosen by Windows. This is what's called an ephemeral port. But when we look at the TCP dump capture inside WSL, the source port is completely different. Well, that's because this is not the same TCP connection. It's being recreated inside WSL. So here's what's actually happening during connection. On Windows, we see a connection from something like port 63449 going to port 5000. But when we use localhost, Windows doesn't just pass the packets through. It actually acts like a relay, forwarding the request into WSL. That relay receives the connection and then creates a brand new connection inside WSL. So from Linux perspective, this looks like a completely separate client connecting locally. And that's why the source port changes to something like 53120 because it's a different TCP session entirely, which then connects to our Flask server on port 5000. And the same thing then happens with all 3 of our separate requests, from Windows to the relay into WSL. So yeah, localhost isn't quite as simple as it looks. The path then completely changes when we use the WSL IP itself. So let's take that WSL diagram from earlier, plug in the real IPs so we can see what's actually happening. First, let's grab the IP of our Windows host, and then the IP of the virtual Ethernet adapter for WSL. Then inside WSL, we'll grab the IP address of ETH0. Now that we have our IPs, let's see how the diagram changes. Our Windows machine is on 10.0.0.103. That's our normal network. Then we have the virtual Ethernet adapter going into WSL, which is 172.23.160.1, which is Windows acting as the gateway into WSL. And finally, the WSL instance itself is 172.23.163.224, where our Flask app is running on port 5000. This time we're accessing our Flask API using the WSL IP instead of localhost. Just like before, we'll start with a GET, then a POST, and a final GET. But this time, instead of loopback, TCP dump shows the packets hitting our Flask service on ETH0. And on the Windows side, since there's no relay, these connections are very short-lived, so we can only catch some of them when we look at netstat. But the ones we do catch show something important. The source port stays exactly the same from Windows into WSL. This is a single TCP connection end to end. Unlike localhost, nothing is being recreated here. And because WSL is on a separate virtual network, this traffic passes through NAT where Windows acts as the gateway between the two networks. Notice the ephemeral port 56189 stays exactly the same across NAT and all the way into WSL before hitting our Flask API on port 5000. And when we look at all three connections, they all undergo NAT translation going into WSL, while all TCP connections maintain their original port. But WSL networking still loves to throw a few gotchas at you, and a prime example of this is SSH. From Windows, I can SSH to other devices on my network, no problem, like my Raspberry Pi, easy and done. But if I try that same thing with my WSL instance, that doesn't work. And if we turn on verbose logging for SSH, we can clearly see why it doesn't work. It first tries my Windows host IP, then the Windows V Ethernet adapter for WSL, but neither of those are actually the WSL distro's IP. We could work around this with a NetSH interface port proxy rule on Windows, but that gets complicated very fast. And sure, we can SSH using the WSL distro IP from Windows, but what if we want another device on the network to communicate with services we're running on WSL? Thankfully, that's where Mirrored Mode comes to the rescue. To enable it, we'll need to edit our WSL config file. And yes, I'm inside Linux, editing a Windows config file to change how Linux is networked by Windows. Try saying that 10 times fast. The important part though is adding this setting, networking mode equals mirrored. After that, we shut WSL down and start it back up so mirrored mode takes effect. Now if we check the interface inside WSL, ETH0 no longer has the 172.23.163.224 address from our NAT mode setup. Instead, it has the same 10.0.0.103 address as Windows. The Windows network interface is quite literally being mirrored into WSL. There's still one gotcha though, inbound access can be blocked by the Hyper-V firewall. For this demo, I allowed inbound traffic for WSL, but in a real setup, you'd probably want a more specific rule for just the ports you need. And to let Windows access services using our LAN IP, we'll add host address loopback equals true to our WSL config file and restart WSL. This lets the Windows host loop back to services running in WSL through the host's own IP address. And instead of showing the API again from Flask, I'm serving an extremely modern, cutting-edge web page from WSL. And now other devices on my network can load it directly. From my Raspberry Pi, curl works. From a MacBook, the page loads. And even from my phone. So mirrored mode takes us from Windows can talk to WSL to other devices on my network can reach services running in WSL, no problem. Quick visual recap, WSL is no longer behind that separate 172.net network. The Windows interface is mirrored into WSL, so services like our web server on port 8080 running in WSL are reachable through the same 10.0.0.103 address as the host. So that's WSL networking in a nutshell. Localhost forwarding is its own special path. The WSL IP uses the NAT path, and mirrored mode makes services inside WSL easy to find and use from any other device on our network. There's still more we could dig into, IPv6, Hyper-V firewall rules, and some more advanced mirrored mode settings, but that probably deserves its own video, so let me know if that's something you guys would like to see. If this helped, give it a like and subscribe for more engineering deep dives, and I'm always happy to answer questions, so let me know down below if you have any questions. And let me know what kind of WSL networking weirdness you've run into. And as always, I'm Sam the Engineering Man, and I'll see you all in the next one.